while you do that. I was in, but school is doing its thing again where it keeps cutting out the volume for no real reason.
Oh.
Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Today is premium. I'm sure more of us will start to file in. You all know the rules, and Dijal has been here for blood. He's tired of there being a lack of blood, so be on your best behavior today. Danny is also back. Hi, Danny. Okay, welcome in. You know the rules. Number 1 in the chat if you want to get on the main list. A 2 in the chat if you want to comment on the subject at hand. If there's a 1 in that chat, what needs to precede it is your topic. I cannot chase you any longer. You heard me, do it. The name of your topic so I can pass it on to Armin. Thank you, I appreciate you. If you get in this chat to go on the list, for the love of God or the love of the absence of a God, pay attention to the chat so that I can talk with you, let you know if you're next. If you don't know if you're on the list, the chat's going to help you with that. You can find the list there. No interrupting. Keep yourself muted or we mute you and you get to be unmuted when Armin leaves. We have Armin for 2 hours. Please get your questions in. Don't wait until the end because I cut the list off and you will not make it. If you have a 2 in the chat and you would like to respond, please remember for each person who responds, that's potentially a question knocked off the bottom of the main list. So let's do our part to give time for everyone. If you have an opinion, we love to hear it. If you have nothing new to add with that number 2 and you're the 10th number 2, maybe think about not doing it. We love to hear from you, but you feel me? Okay. We will get started. Armin, if you have anything to update us with while I get the number 1s in order, we would love to hear it.
No, let's go. Because I was late, so let's just go with what the topics are. And yeah, so let's just go. And I'm basically trying to fix something from behind the scenes. So I'm just going to do that. So let's go with the first topic. Yeah.
The first person is Sketch, and he would like to talk about not attributing to stupidity a pattern of malice in the media.
Okay. Okay. I'm not hearing him. Are you guys hearing him?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I was waiting for you to write it in. Now, earlier,
sorry.
I sent you like a whole bunch of super chats about this. I hope I didn't sound like I was combative, but I have seen some people that have debates. The debates are set up where there's 2 or 3 persons against one side. If you see it on CNN, you see it on Piers Morgan, which you were very entertainingly raging at. You see it in every kind of media where a political or current topic is being discussed. It's mostly leftist, and they have a lot of techniques that they use over and over and over to diminish, to undermine, to deflect, and to basically destroy the truth, so that anyone that is watching is gonna be hit from so many angles that they're going to wind up agreeing with the host. Now, Piers Morgan does this very maliciously. I don't believe he's stupid. He's been in media for a very long time. I believe he's evil, right? And so do some of the guests. Like, there was a guest today that was worried about anti-Semitism, but in the previous show, she had said she doesn't know enough about theology to know if the Intifada was a bad thing. You know, these people are disingenuous. And I think when we engage these people, I understand that it's entertaining to rage at them. It's entertaining to watch people rage at them, but never believe for a second that these people are fair arbiters or these are fair debates. Don't believe that you will gain any serious information from looking at this. What you can do, and there is a benefit in, is seeing what the propaganda they are pushing in, seeing how rules for thee, not for me they are, because a lot of their they have a lot of these politicians and these leaders have been associated with terrible people, communist organizations, Antifa terrorists, supporting Hamas. They've been caught doing all kinds of things, and if no one talks about that, but if someone like Tommy Robinson in his past was associated with some people he later, didn't like their stance on things, well, he's marked forever, right? So there's a lot of double standards. There's a lot of things in media that you need to understand. These people are not genuine. These people are trying to trick you. They will never engage with the subject, right? They'll what about you? They'll deflect. They'll undermine you. They'll cut you off and change the topic. And you should know their tactics. I believe in engaging with their tactics. When I analyze a debate, I look at, you see how they deflected there, like you do it sometimes too. You see how he cut them off. You see how he didn't let them reach the point. This not only happens in Piers Morgan, it happens in CNN. In CNN, they have usually like 5 or 6 leftists, including the host, and 1 conservative. Why do you think that is? Why are they being so unfair? Because it's just another form of censorship and manipulation. So when you engage with any of these platforms, you have to know that. Even in Fox, there's sometimes that they will go away from a point that is maybe a little inconvenient for them to distract you into something else, right? Like they'll say, oh, we're doing the best we can. Are we? Are we? We could do a little more. We can arrest some of these judges that are letting people go over and over. We could impeach them. We might be going a little slow. We might not be doing enough, right? But since they're aligned with the current power, they're not going to push on that. So I'm not trying to say that the right doesn't do it, but as people that are trying to be informed, we need to see the manipulation of these people. They're not stupid. These people are not stupid. These people are millionaires. They're propagandized. Their big companies support them because it's convenient for them. And on the right, they might be getting outside support. You don't know where the super chats for Nick Fuentes are coming from. You don't know where all this stuff is coming from. On the right and the left, you have to be very wary of how a debate is had. What is the central point and how they're deflecting from it.
Right. I mean, yeah, obviously these people are vile, disgusting, evil scumbags. That's why I keep calling them vile, evil, disgusting scumbags. And they have a lot of clever tactics to, because they don't have any points for their positions that they have. This is why if you actually look at our show, I think our show does the best job I've ever seen when it comes to looking at these manipulative tactics that they use and shows it to the audience. And they use a lot of clever ways to try to avoid answering the question, changing the topic exactly when they know they're being cornered. Use ways to call himself, like Piers Morgan call himself uncensored, but he basically uses another clever way to try to censor people. And they all do all of that plan. And this is all based on trial and error. And you don't get that big as Piers Morgan is unless you know what the fuck you're doing. Yeah, and unless you don't have a genius team and a plan that is dedicated to do all of this, right? I mean, I think it's normal when somebody says something as some retarded shit to call them retarded and stupid. I think that's normal to do that, even if they know what the fuck they're doing and it's all planned. I think it's just basically a pretty normal human reaction to hearing something retarded, even if they know exactly what they're doing. And it just feels good to call them retarded, so I'm not going to stop doing that. But I just at the same time, I'm going to call them evil because they are evil. Like I never stop calling these people evil. So I know they're evil and I know there's a plan for what they're doing and to what they're doing. I also do believe a lot of evil people are retarded. They might be we have evil genius and we also have retarded evil, right? We have evil genius and evil, stupid evil. We do have that as well. So, and again, the stupid evil is not as successful as the genius evil. So when they're just successful, they're probably in the second category. But you could also sometimes these people are very smart about something, but then end up being retarded about something else, right? So that's also a possibility. But obviously, I completely agree that these people know exactly what they're doing and they're not interested in the truth. And they're just more interested in getting bigger and bigger and bigger, whatever the cost is, even if it betrays what's good for society. So that's true.
Okay, we have 2 responses, but we had a comment in the chat. Maybe you can make a runner on your morning YouTube channel. You scream a lot, and some people wear headphones. You scared the shit out of somebody. Okay, to respond is Samantha.
Thing I try to look for is I try to look for like the double standard and like hypocrisy. That's like always my go-to if I'm trying to figure out if someone's like, just willfully trying to, you know, believe a certain narrative or not. And what's it called? And then like, also looking for like, oh, do they believe this like only when it's convenient for them to believe it, or like do they also believe it like, even when it's not convenient for them to believe it? Like, for example, like one thing I've heard people say about like the Israel-Palestine conflict and like insisting like Israelis and all Palestinians should just like share one state with equal rights, and like it would be perfectly safe for like Israel to do so. And like if I talk about like why I don't think it's safe, it's like, oh, people will sometimes respond like, oh, well, South Africa didn't think in apartheid that it would be safe and that like, they'd be attacked. And it's like, listen, in South Africa, families had like black like South African nannies that they were letting like be nannies and like help raise their kids with. So how afraid of the population were they if like, there weren't physical walls separating them from being bombed? They were like, having those people like work in their home with like their children and stuff. Was in Israel, it's like, Israelis, it's hard for the Palestinians to get like a work visa into Israel. You're not, because of like, the danger. So it's like they believe it even when it is not convenient for them to believe so, that it's dangerous in Israel. Well, another thing is to like keep in mind, just because something for like, also you want to take in mind someone's background when considering whether or not like it's reasonable for someone to believe something. Like someone who grew up in the West, it is completely and totally reasonable for someone who grew up in the West to really not know what the Intifada was, or to like know that it's like, a bad thing that they should be like calling for an Intifada. That is completely as upsetting as it is. Believe me, I remember the second Intifada, just like one of my, barely remember it, but like that was, yeah. But it is totally reasonable for someone in the West to not know. Well, as an Arab, no, fucking bullshit, But then on the flip side, it is absolutely and totally reasonable for an Arab person who grew up in the Arab world to really genuinely believe that the Holocaust was made up. It would be fucked up for someone who grew up in America to believe that and to insist upon that. But for someone, if someone grew up in Egypt, it is totally reasonable and totally not their fault if they genuinely believe that the Holocaust never happened. And something I try to keep in mind in that situation is like, I've had over a decade to know that that's like, a thing, and to like have to like, deal with my emotions regarding how upsetting that is. Well, as if someone from Egypt and they're hearing someone insist that the Holocaust happened, this is the first time that they're hearing this piece of threatening information. So, I keep that in mind, and just like, all people will react badly when being given threatening information that threatens the version of reality that they want to believe. So my attitude is, if someone like screams and curses, but is still willing to have a conversation, even if they initially are very hostile and screaming and cursing, you shouldn't totally close the door on them, because most people are not willing to hear or any information that threatens the version of reality that they want to believe. So even if someone screams and curses at me that I'm like, intentionally perpetuating this Holocaust lie, if they're still willing to have that conversation with me, I'm willing to have that conversation with them. And same thing where even if a Western person screams at me that I'm a terrible bitch and that I'm like Islamophobic for trying to demonize the word Intifada, but they're still willing to like have that conversation with me, and then I'm willing to have that conversation with them. Because, it is something that threatens the version of reality that they believe, and that, it's not unreasonable for them to have that viewpoint.
Okay, next to respond, we have Jose.
I'm going to take this back to Piers Morgan. I've learned watching Piers Morgan, and I no longer follow the show. So when you come online, Armin, and you have Piers Morgan, I ignore it. Sorry, bud, because he's a hypocrite, in my opinion, because he's fine interrupting all his guests but goddamn help you if you interrupt him. And that's bullshit. It has to go both ways or no way. And that's always pissed me off about him. Also, it's very obvious over the last month or so that he's pro-UK Keir Starmer, because he was 100% that Tony Robinson should not be allowed back in the United Kingdom. And he labeled sting, ding, 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 every reason why, you know? So, yeah, we got a problem there. As far as the others, what else do they know how to do? They haven't been called out for their hypocrisy, you know? Good topic, by the way, Sketch. And you're right. We'll see it, and we'll see it. We'll see what CNN, like that CNN video that you put on the Goldie show today, Armin. Yeah, I never expected the guy to mention anything that were war crimes that they were doing. Not a bit. Why? It's CNN. What is his number one thing? It's Trump's fault. Because that's CNN's number one line. It's Trump's fault. That's it. That's all I got.
And to close us out for responses, we have Sketch.
I put in the chat here. I would love it if you would take a look at this and even maybe use it, Armin. This is the Graham's disagreement pyramid. It's kind of like a nice guide on how to have a debate. And another thing that these people do is they appeal to emotion, and people that are not capable of engaging in, counterfactual hypotheticals, right? Like they're not, if you tell them, what would it be like if you didn't have breakfast yesterday? They can't, but I did have breakfast. You know, they can't go beyond themselves. They can't go beyond a short timeline. Like, let me give you one example. If I'm talking about, okay, you know what? This kind of happened, and I'm not saying that's a specific case. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I was talking about people in the media. I was talking about experts on panel. They know what they're doing, right? They know exactly what they're doing. They know the history of what they're doing. They know the sides of their doing. What they're going to do is they're going to try to get the audience to emotionally put themselves on their side when they pretend they don't know, right? Like, I can understand if Samantha doesn't know a lot about the Intifada. Now, what that host is going to do is try to make Samantha feel like she is me, I am her, right? So, well, I didn't know, so it's okay to think that she didn't know. But that person the day before was talking all about how she's not an expert on theology. She can't talk about the Intifada. But today she was talking about how she knows about anti-Semitism, and she knows that there's an anti-Semitism thread within the Tony Robbins thing, which is like complete lies. But one day you can't talk about the Jewish stuff, and you can't talk about anti-Semitism because you're not an expert. And the next day, when it's convenient and you can use it against your opposition, all of a sudden you're an expert, right? But what the media will do is try to get you, especially the left, emotionally connected, so you think it's about you. When you watch the media, you need to understand it's not about you. They're trying to make me think I am that person. They're trying to put me in one of these people's shoes, and they're going to appeal to emotions, so I can't engage with the facts of what we're talking about here. So you got to be very careful about putting yourself, well, I wouldn't see it that way. Well, I this, I that. You got to take I, me, and my away from a debate that you're watching, because you're going to fall into the trap of emotionally connecting with them. And that's not why you're there. You're there for data. You're there for information.
Okay, next topic, we have Sadato. Regardless of why, does the delay weaken or strengthen the Islamic Republic?
Does a delayed attack on the regime in Iran weaken or strengthen the regime?
Yes.
Okay. All
Is
right.
that self-explanatory? Yeah.
Yes.
Especially in light of the recent developments with the arming kids, and I think they're going to become like cannon fodder maybe for the first wave of protesters. They're just going to go out there, create mayhem, and that's possible because we gave them time, right?
you want to give like a context. The context is that the regime is arming the Iranian people, and you think that they're going to be just there to buy time for the regime forces. That's your theory.
Well, I feel like the strikes being delayed, the U.S. and Israeli strikes. I know we have no control or understanding of why it's being delayed, but is it benefiting the regime, or is it like because I've heard you give arguments that it's weakening the regime. Well, obviously closing the strait has or what is it called, the blockade. The blockade's clearly weakened them economically, and I know that's an important aspect of weakening the regime. So I think that's a good thing. I think they're getting weaker by the day because of the economic pressure. But there are also things that I'm hearing, like, for instance, like they're able to bring out more missiles from the silos. They're able to regroup. I don't know. So I was wondering if you could give some arguments both on both sides of what these delays, are causing, right?
Okay, so this is actually the answer is both. Does the delay weaken the regime? Yes. Does it also strengthen the regime? Also, yes. In some ways, it's weakened the regime. In some ways, it strengthens them. And the trick is to figure out in what areas it is weakening them and it's what areas is strengthening them, and do they cancel out, and how much is it on each side? Which side is more, right? So that's the trick, okay? And so obviously if you want to list of ways that the delay is weakening them, obviously the economic blockade means the Islamic Republic is running out of cash. Do you have the less of a, when you don't have military operations, do you have more internal political drama within the regime, right? And that causing division among them. What else? Is the most important one is the economic and the political division, right? So those are the areas where actually the longer you wait, the more regime hurts, right? So the areas that it strengthens them, first of all, even though you have blocked as much as you can, you haven't blocked everything. The regime is able to sell oil and gas from some, and much less than before, but it's not zero. It is enough to be able to use it to buy Russian and Chinese drone components and missile components, and rebuild some of its missiles. Have more, like, remember, they make very cheap missiles, so it's actually the number of missiles and drones that they could build is actually faster than a lot of people realize, right? So that is, it doesn't take that long for them to get a whole bunch of missiles and drones, because remember, they're not going for precision, they're not going for a lot of damage, they're going for just being annoying, and that's commercially that's really painful for the world. You don't have to actually cause a lot of damage and have a lot of precision to be able to, I don't know, close the Strait of Hormuz or cause economic devastation to UAE, okay? Because the missiles and drones that you send, for example, to the UAE, they don't have to hit their target or be extremely devastating for people to just leave the UAE or people not to invest in the UAE. Okay, so that's why you could basically build as that really fast. So that's one area that in this time they're working on that is helping them, so they could use this time to recover on that. Another thing is that a lot of the the number that we hear that the missile capabilities of the Islamic Republic. So let me tell you the bad side of this, but also the good side, right? We hear like 90% of their missile launching capabilities was taken out, right? A lot of people assume that means that 90% of their missiles and launches were destroyed. That's not the case. The missile cities that they have under layers and layers of granite under the mountains, it's actually really hard to drop enough bunker busters to get to them, right? So the reason why we got to 90% reduction into their missile launching capacity is because they bombed the entrances to the missile cities. It's not like the whole missile cities were basically completely destroyed and caved in. So that means that the launchers and the missiles were there and they were still available to use. One good thing that that we heard is that because they managed to close every single entrance to these missile towns, many people within these missile towns died slowly because they suffocated, because all the holes to the missile towns were completely shut off. So they died in very slow, painful deaths right in there, right? So that's a good news that a lot of Iranian people enjoyed when they hear that. But it also means that all the Islamic Republic needs to do to get a lot of its missile capability back, and apparently they have done that, is to just reopen the entrance to the missile cities, right? And they have done that already. So that's the bad news. But the good news is that it's also easy to just close them again, right? So once the military operations start again, so what's the point of these missile cities that, like, you're like, oh my god, they got the missile cities back? Or okay, but you could just, once the military operations start, you just go boop 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 boop, and you close the entrances again, right? Apparently, like the bunker, but like it takes a lot of bunker busters to go. Eventually, we drop enough bunker busters on these granites, on these millions of years worth of granite that has been built naturally on top of these mountains. There's not enough bunker busters worth like that you could actually get all that deep into destroying them. But why even waste doing that, where you could just use not very big missiles? Like you could use a lot less firepower to just close them every time before your military operation. So all of a sudden you have, so they said that 30 out of 33 missile cities are now back, okay, by the Islamic Republic, are back and now available for use by the Islamic Republic. Okay, I think within hours we could close their entrances again, and right before the war they would be also not usable again, right? I mean, Jeffrey could tell me if I'm correct or not, but I think closing the entrances is easy. Getting to the missile city is hard, but closing the entrances again every time you need to seems easy. So that's number two, which is a good side, and a bad side. Like the bad news is that they're opening, like we have satellite images showing that they moved enough earth from this entrances to the missile towns. We have also activity, we also detect like sound coming from these places, and electricity being used, and heat mapping, and everything that shows that these missile cities are now operational, right? So that's the bad news. Another thing that they could do to recover during this time is to figure out what the fuck to do to suppress the Iranian people, given that they now have an experience. They never had an experience with an uprising in the millions. Okay, they never knew what that looks like. Okay, and now they do. So that gives them experience. And now all of this time that we were in ceasefire, they haven't been sitting around. They have been planning. Okay, they see all of their weaknesses. They see every place that they failed. They see everywhere where the Iranian people's uprising was getting close to getting really dangerous, and they're gonna adjust for that, right? They see what type of people within the regime were refusing to shoot at the Iranian people, who refused to shoot, who didn't refuse to shoot. They see if the militias that they got from outside were more effective at shooting at the Iranian people, into crowds of Iranian people, than their own forces. So all of that are points that they're going to use. And I think during this entire time, they haven't just been sitting by. They have designed new suppression tactics. So the Islamic Republic, the only thing the Islamic Republic is really good at and learns every time is suppressing and killing the Iranian people. And every uprising made them so, like every uprising of the Iranian people have made them so very much more effective at suppressing the Iranian people in the next uprising. Like they created entire institutions and entire intelligence gathering methods. Oh, and new operations and new set of skills, and new set of positions specifically from what they learned from the previous uprising. And I'm pretty sure that in the past few months they have been doing exactly that. So that's also something that goes against us. So these are the things that the time we gain from the time, and those are, so I gave you the list on both sides, right? Again, it's really hard to calculate where that, okay, so where does that put us here? But I think if on top of the military sanctions we have the naval blockade, sorry, if on top of the naval blockade and also Operation Economic Fury by Scott Bessent, closing off the financial loopholes and stuff, which again suffocates them, but doesn't close it completely, but suffocates them. If on top of that we have some really extreme military operations coming, that I think the balance is more in our favor than theirs. But the one thing, again, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to keep repeating myself again. The one thing that very, very much tips everything to our favor is arming the Iranian people. And you get the most bang for your buck if you just do that. So that's my response. What do you think, Sadata, about that response?
Yeah, thank you. I feel better a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have some? Did Jeffrey put a 2 in the chat? Because I wanted to check if anything that I said was.
And then Jeffrey for the responses.
Okay, great.
Should I go ahead? Okay, now this hurts both sides. It helps both sides, right? If you want to take a look at the American side, why does this help us? Morale on the political side becomes lower the longer this goes on. There's more political upheaval. There's more economic. I would say that the economic pain for Americans is, I would say, orders of magnitude less than what's being suffered by the Iranians, but we get that too, right? And what are the pluses for us? Rearm and resupply, right? Just like they're, taking the rubble out of their missile holes, we were restocking our missiles, and we were figuring out different tactics that we might employ, gathering more assets. Another thing that helps us on the time side is the longer this goes on, the more nations that depend on oil from there getting sick of Iran, right? Even China must be like, this wasn't supposed to go on this long. You understand what I'm saying? Like I think even Russia's kind of like, well, let's help them out because I don't want this to keep going, right? Especially Russia, because Russia has so many problems on its doorstep that releasing their oil basically does nothing, because all the oil they want to sell, Ukraine is burning. Right, so they lose. There's also a political loss for Iran in the international community, even though locally they don't care about what the people think. In the international stage, they're going to have less support, less strongly worded letters at America about the aggression, because they're trying to feel it in their own economies all over the South China Seas and India and all these places, right? Do they get to the rearm? Yes, they do. So who gets more pain? Right, they get more pain. They do get more pain. We can take the pain longer time. The problem with that is that the Iranian people also get more pain. It's more time that they can't afford to go to the hospital. It's more time that they have problems getting food, right? The suffering increases, right? I think that the biggest loss here is in the suffering side. That's where time hurts the most, because we're not losing at a level where we're going hungry because of this. But in Iran, that may be the case. We're not suffering at a level that we are not going to be able to get medical assistance. But in Iran, that might be the case. So that is the highest point at which waiting hurts us, because hurting the Iranian people hurts us. That's who we're going to help. So anything that hurts them hurts us. That's how I would analyze like why waiting is good and bad. Why waiting is bad is because it hurts the Iranian people. Why waiting is good is because it lets us rearm. And why it's good for them, they get to rearm. Why it's bad, they're losing political points everywhere.
Great points.
Jeffrey?
All very good points, all very good observations, a very good question. One thing kind of comes, the overarching kind of framework you might think about is competitive adaptation. This bears out in some of the things that were mentioned. So bunker busters versus missile cities, it's true. The Mullah regime has spent 20, 30 years in creating what's known as hardened, deeply buried targets. That was what the Air Force defined it as in the late 90s and early 2000s. Which is also why they had the hard and deeply buried target defeat program. There's different approaches that they looked at, from rods from God, nuclear earth penetrators, and or bunker busters and brilliant guided bunker busters and massive warnings penetrators and all the rest of it. So to be sure, like we closed off, like Armin's not wrong, we closed off all of the entrances and destroyed what was readily accessible from the surface via airstrikes, and then did a function kill by closing everything off. And they indeed, those fuckers in the missile cities did indeed die a really shitty, painful death, which they deserve because they're evil assholes. Same goes with regards to uprising versus repression. Armin's right about that. Bad guys learn just like we guys, good guys learn. As far as like ways to delay, strengthen, and or weaken the United States-led Western and or anti-mullah alliance and or the regime remnants. So the ways it'll strengthen mullahs is it allows them preparation time. So the mullah regime gets days to disperse their key assets, nuclear material, missile launchers, leadership bunkers, proxy command nodes. They've done this in the past. And I mean, that's, like competitive adaptation 101. It allows them to engage in propaganda and domestic rally effects, so the regime can spin it as the great Satan blinked, or Trump has weakened decisive. You already see that stupid shit being spewed out of whatever regime remnant's facial anus that masquerades as a mouth that has access to, like, the media. It allows them proxy activation windows. So Hezbollah, Houthis, Shia militaries in Iraq and Syria, we're already seeing that play out. That's the bad news. What's the good news? So the ways the delays weakens the mullahs, or at least doesn't help them, and then I'll tell you the intelligence refinement angle at the end. So it allows diplomatic and coalition pressure. So President Trump has explicitly said this pause came at a direct request of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE. These are key regional players who hate the regime and want to a deal on the Strait of Hormuz, oil flows, and nukes, right? So it's like tipping our hand to them, saying, you should come to the barbecue. You don't have to bring the steak, but we'd love it if you brought some sides. It allows us better planning in an intelligence window. I'm going to use that at the end. It gives us sustained max pressure without immediate cost. This is what Armin talked about with regards to, sanctions and seized crypto assets. Economic isolation keeps grinding the regime down. Internal regime stress, that's what Armin mentioned. The longer the threat hangs over them without imminent strikes, the more cracks can show. It lead infighting. Do we go maximum? Well, not we, forgive me, Hashem, I'm not those fuckers. Do they go maximum? Do they try to buy it out? There's public exhaustion within the IRGC versus cleric rivalry and all this other stuff. So here's the intelligence refinement issue. The delays allow us. General Keane wasn't lying when he says we're not staying static, right? The time we are using in the strategic pause is allowing us to engage in better targeting, which means the strikes when it comes are going to be have extra impact. Every day lets U.S. and Israeli fuse satellite intelligence, signal intercepts, human resources, cyber data. We're doing real-time tracking on, dynamic targets, on where they disperse centrifuges, moves enriched uranium, hidden IRGC commanders, or reposition their missiles. Rush strikes, miss stuff, or hit decoys. Refined intel means we hit the real high-value targets, like we bullseye those assholes. Exposes Iran's adaptation. Well, as they're doing the stuff that they're doing, we're watching what they're doing. Competitive adaptation. I'm watching the enemy adapt and what he's doing to sit there and find out how they're thinking and what they do. Lower risk, higher legitimacy, and bigger impact. Precision from better intel reduces civilian collateral, which President Trump very much wants to do. I mean, he's not against hitting the mullahs. He wants the regime dead. He just doesn't want to harm Iranian people. I mean, he's pretty clear that he has a soft spot in his heart for those people. And it makes the operation look more surgical to the world. Gulf states have already asked for this pause when the strike eventually lands, or it's going to come with probably their blessing and less blowback, which means that's not going to be a sloppy punch. What does it kind of mean overall? Tactically, in the short term, sure, mullah regime remnants are trying to use this to get a breather and dig deeper holes. Strategically, the delay is in many ways our force multiplier. while the mullahs are buying days of survival at the cost of facing a far more lethal, intelligence-driven hammer later. And that's kind of where all that shakes out. Now, as far as how that's received from Iranian resistance inside, I mean, it doesn't make it any less frustrating or painful, especially for those inside the regime that are being denied access to anything via the regime cutting off internet and using Kalinkas and bubble jammers and all the other stupid shit those evil fucks do. I just figured I'd give you that's the best overview I can give you off the top of my head in the limited time that you were gracious enough to give me.
Holy shit, that was amazing. Thank
That
you.
was great.
Thank you so much.
That was really good, Jeffrey. People also on YouTube are saying that was, yeah, loving your input, Jeffrey. Thank you for that.
Ian, if you could very quickly, please, and then we have a super chat.
You can skip me, sorry.
Okay, we got a super chat from Roman Viking saying the war is expensive. How to make it cheaper? I'm going to sound like a broken record. I think that's a good question. And I think we actually did the mathematical calculation of this with Ali. And the best way, again, saying it again, the best way to reduce the cost of the war is to arm the Iranian people. It's actually amazing if you actually go look how the calculation of everything changes. Everything changes. And if you do the calculation of the amount of damage you could do to the Islamic Republic for every dollar that you spend on American weapons, those dollars spent on weapons to be given to the Iranian people to fight against the Islamic Republic as the boots on the ground that they are will completely change the calculation. I see Jeffrey put a 2 in the chat, so maybe he also wants to add some points to this, but that's my number one answer. I'm sure there are other ways, but that's my number one answer. All right, Jeffrey.
So
thank you for the super chat. Yep, sorry, go ahead.
No worries. So two things. When it comes to the conventional military phase, right, us striking the Mullah regime and or remnants and regime remnants assets, the reason we used our long-range strike munitions was, and we targeted strategic radar and air defenses to allow us then to use our air assets and less costly munitions, not the least of which is JDAMs and or GPS-guided general purpose bombs, which we have by the hundreds of thousands regarding the kits and millions regarding the bombs. So there's that aspect, right? The other part, and to Armin's point, arming the Iranian people. So if you're doing, say, kinetic track 2 material support, as it was envisioned, and it's done coterminously with two other lines of effort. One is naming His Highness Prince Reza Pahlavi and the transitionary government as the official government in exile to set up the legal, environment so that you can do this legally. Then liberate all the oil tankers in the shadow fleet, bring them to U.S. Ports and or allied ports, where then His Highness's led transitionary government can sell to us and our allies. That gives him $15 billion to sustain track 2 material supports at a revenue neutral, in some cases even a positive manner for the U.S. taxpayer. And then it gives him the resources to say spend $7.2 billion to train 20,000 highly trained, lawful, unconventional fighters, which after 8 months is able to sit there and be dispersed throughout Iran, vis-a-vis 156 companies broken down to 8-man hunter-killer teams to engage in counterinsurgency and anti-death squads, hunting down and slaughtering besieged and IRGC remnants very quickly. Oh, if you want to talk about, I guess, shooting things down, directed energy and weaponized drone swarms is where we need to go.
Awesome.
Okay, next to respond, we have Sketch.
That's exactly where I was going. If we're looking at the calculus of defense from drones, from these other materials, there is a lot of effort being put. We talked about this before, but because we have a merit-based system, there was already people using their entrepreneurial skills to delve into these energy weapons. Some of them are microwave weapons that we've had for, I don't know, about 20 years, right, Jeff? Around there. And pulse energy weapons, much better than the ones China has. And these are the weapons that are going to be the future. A lot of people have been making, much ado about nothing with these missile batteries, and we're running out, and we're going to run out of missile. That's simply not true. If anything, this war accelerated our defensive capabilities when it comes to that kind of thing. It would make our domes stronger. It's going to make the Golden Dome shinier. And we might get a platinum dome. I don't know how the way it's going now. It's going to be great because we have gained that knowledge on just the economic power of using lasers and microwaves and sometimes good old turret that can shoot down a drone. Also, Ukraine has become very important because of the things that they've been able to do. They've been able to hit in the heart of Moscow right now, right? What they have been able to do with a drone tech is amazing. So when it comes to offense and defense, the cost calculus has changed drastically from January this year to anything before that. Like we're changing where everything is going.
Okay, finally to respond, we have Richard.
Richard.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, I just wanted to also mention in terms of countering the ground strategy, whether that's ultimately arming the Iranian people or U.S. limited ground invasion, it's probably worth noting that the resources that the regime has been publicizing in terms of training the pro-regime civilians indicates their lack of confidence in both the out-of-country malicious and terrorist groups and their own besieged and military forces in countering that. So it's probably worth factoring that into the strategy later.
Okay, Jeffrey, close us out, please.
Yeah, Richard nailed it. I mean, the fact that the Mullah regime remnants is arming the very minority element of the Iranian citizens with AK-47s and RPG would signal to me and most other analysts that the regime remnants is conceded or not confident in surviving the conventional military phase of liberating Iran, and they're trying to set up the environment to wage a protracted guerrilla campaign against a post-conventional military, post-Mullah regime environment. So Richard's not wrong, which is why it's also important to arm Iranian people and or to train those lawful unconventional combatants. Well done, Richard.
Sorry, BT. Just one thing I want to add to this really quickly, and then we could go to the next topic. One thing I haven't seen other people consider is arming the pro-regime Iranian people might also be an IRGC versus IRGC play as well. And we're talking about the type of IRGC that think that the pro-regime Iranians who have maximalist demands are more in line with what they want against the IRGC, parts of IRGC that want to be more flexible to the Americans so they could survive. Arming pro-regime Iranian people who have those maximalist designs will give the parts of IRGC that do want the maximalist demands to continue an upper hand. So this is something that we should also consider. But I'm not saying it is the case. I'm just saying it could also be part of the calculation here.
Okay, for the next topic, we have Noah, and he would like to speak about FIFA banning the lion and sun flag at the World Cup.
Did FIFA ban the lion and sun flag at the World Cup? What the hell?
Well, yeah, that is what the Atlantic is reporting via Iran International. They did the same thing in Qatar in 2022. And here's the problem. This isn't going to be played in Qatar. This is going to be played in the United States.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's why I'm saying what the fuck, because in Qatar, I understand why they do shit like that. But how could you ban that in the United States? Like that's violates free speech and everything. I don't like what the fuck. I can they even do that? But sorry, go on. I interrupted you. Go on.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm shocked too. Like, how the heck are they gonna? I can't see anyone in the Iranian diaspora, no, oh yeah, we're not gonna bring our line and stuff. Like, no, screw. They're gonna hide it. They're gonna then they're gonna reveal it. I hope there's so many of them that bring the flags out that they can't remove everyone. So it is just so stupid. And I hope President Trump says something about it because, yeah, it does violate free speech. Like, yeah, FIFA can go screw itself on this one. This is being played in the US, not Qatar. And you know what? Screw FIFA on this decision.
Is this confirmed or is it just rumors?
I think this is saying, well, they are saying, and this is in the post, they are saying it is for political reasons.
But every flag is political.
I know. This is stupid. So we're going to have to wait and see, but I'm pretty sure they are going to try and do this because the IRGC has already asked to ban the pride flags because it's being played in Seattle. So it wouldn't surprise me at this point.
You know what? Actually, I changed my mind. This is good. I think this is good. I support this. Okay. Hear me out, Noah. Noah, hear me out. If they allowed the lion and sun flag, people would just come with their lion and sun flag, and it would be just normal Iranian people. Obviously, they come up with the lion and sun flag. It wouldn't get much attention. But now we're going to try to break the rules. And this is going to get a lot of media attention because it's going to be now people trying to figure out how to smuggle in the lion and sun flag. People are going to wear it as a t-shirt under their shirt that they're wearing. People are going to bring it in the bag. They're going to come up with the most creative ways on to smuggle it in and just show it. So this violation of the rules and Iranians coming up with the most creative ways to bring the lion and sun flag into the events is going to get like, oh my God, look at, like, it's going to bring attention to the fact that the Iranian people are doing this, and more Americans are going to become educated about the difference between the lion and sun flag and also the Islamic Republic flag. And also because a lot of people associate the lion and sun flag with Pahlavi, a lot more Americans are going to see how much Iranian people love Prince Reza Pahlavi. So maybe this is a good thing. Maybe that's a silver lining. What do you think?
I didn't see that point of view, but I still think it's stupid. But at the same time, I like that. I like that thinking, Armin. I really do. So I might side with you on this one. We'll see. Although BT is saying that although BT did say in there that New York Times, take it with a rock of salt, obviously, is confirming this as well. So who knows? Yeah.
Iranians are so fed up and tired and strong and wild. I can imagine someone like sneaking in a lion and painting one body red and one green and just having a lion. Like, get it done.
Right.
Get it done. Like the whole row being red, the whole row being green, everybody in the middle. Yes, I see it.
Yes. I'm just wearing a green shirt. This is not a flag. You're right.
Hello. No problem.
Yeah. But let me actually read what's happening really quickly. Saying what is so following reports and inquiries, FIFA has pointed to its stadium code of conduct, which generally prohibits items deemed political, offensive, or discriminatory. Well, the Islamic Republic flag is political, offensive, and discriminatory all at the same time. So, okay, so therefore they should ban the Islamic Republic flag. The lion and sun flag is frequently used by Iranian diaspora and opposition groups as a symbol of protest against the current Iranian government. The Islamic Republic of Iran, by contrast, officially recognizes only the current flag featuring the Islamic emblem. Well, the people don't recognize that, so you have to go with the people rather than the regime, the occupying regime. So that's the reasons that they might be giving for this. Yeah. Yeah, so and also Rodel is saying, you give us a super chat saying, if people show up wearing lion and sun shirts, no entry. So if this is true, then yes, they would not be allowed to enter if they're wearing lion and sun shirts. And Rodel, thank you so much for the super chat. But I'm pretty sure, like, how could they, like, what if you're wearing a shirt on top of it? What if you're wearing the shirt inside out, and then once you get in, you flip it over, right? What if you just put it like body painting, right? So even if you look at for your clothes, like it's just on your body, and then you take off your shirt, right? So there you go. There's so many different ways. And then, yeah, fine, sure. Like whoever does that, they bring in the security to kick the person out. They make a scene. It gets more attention. So
It will absolutely be on camera as well.
For sure.
So if they want to pan away from the game all game long to stare at the flag, I feel like that's perfect advertising. FIFA advertising is expensive, but if you're getting it for free from the stands.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, it's very expensive. It's so expensive. It's so expensive that China is not even broadcasting it because the price was high. Apparently, they were like, "Yeah, we're not doing it." But yeah, and there you go. And one of the most expensive commercials in the world, you're getting it for free. Good point, BT.
Free for monarchists. Okay, to respond, we have Jose and Sketch.
Okay, I hate to burst the Iranians in this chat's bubble, but the Iranian team is in Spain and not a single coach, manager, or player has applied for a U.S. visa. No visa, no entry, no exception. Ice, ice, baby.
Yeah, but the Iranian people will still go to I think the games and have the flags with them. I don't know. Wait, isn't it? I heard that what they're doing is they're banning the coaches because the coaches are RGC, but they might allow the players in without the coaches. I don't know what the update of that is. Do you know the update? The players would allow, but the coaches are RGC. So
All I know is that the article I saw out of Spain, that they're all refusing to, they expect to be allowed in by FIFA, and they refuse to get a visa to come in, which makes it very, very, very interesting. Like I said, the fans can show up. That's fine. Go ahead and take the line. And son, what are they going to do? The team's not going to be there for you to insult.
Yeah, and also just a reminder that the Iranian people don't see those players as the Iranian team, okay? Because unlike the women's football team or soccer team or whatever, the men the men's are way more political, and most of those players, close to all of them, have chosen their side to be with the Islamic Republic. So the Iranian people don't support them. They consider the team not to be Iran's team, but the Islamic Republic's team. So I don't know if they're coming or not. I heard that they are coming, but I'm not sure.
Well, if it's anything like some of the athletes that play in this country that are from South American countries or even Caribbean countries, they could be delayed entering, and I don't care how much money they make professionally, they can be delayed coming in by weeks and months just because someone gets an attitude. If they think they're superior, they're going to get delayed and delayed and delayed. We'll see. If FIFA does cut a deal with Trump and lets them in without the visa, I know a lot of professional leagues in this country that'll go after Trump because they have players coming in from Haiti, Dominican Republic, and a couple other locations that I can just think off the top of my head that have Brazil, and they have visa issues, including baseball players in this country.
So this is the update that I have. That actually it's been confirmed that the team is participating. The Iranian Football Federation has officially confirmed their attendance. While the process has been complex for the visas due to political tensions, the team is currently in a training camp in Turkey. They are scheduled to visit the Canadian embassy in Ankara on Thursday, May 21st. Well, for visa appointments. And FIFA has provided assurances that the host nations will facilitate the entry of the Iranian delegation to ensure all teams can participate in line with tournament regulations. So it seems like they are confirming that they are attending. So yeah, that means that a lot of Iranian people are going to try to go and protest even against the team, maybe.
Yeah. But remember this: Canada's not being really good with the United States right now, and a visa entering to Canada does not get you into the United States. That kind of laissez-faire stuff is out the window. I don't know for how long. I don't know if it's going to affect anything. Jeff might have an idea, but as far as I know, that's an issue.
Okay.
Okay, next to respond is Sophie.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So I disagree with everything that was said previously on this topic. So I have pulled up right now. So The Athletic is part of New York Times. And so first of all, they've actually explicitly declined and said, I mean, they've not affirmed any of what people have said before. Just because there's a headline that grabs attention that says, oh, they're doing this, and there's a source. It reminds me of when there were sources about the deal that Trump at the White House blasted, and Caroline Leavitt blasted. Unknown sources do not count for anything right now. What they've done is they've been busy working with states. They've been working with India for broadcasts there. That's separate. They're quite busy. They've had meetings with FIFRI, whatever that Iranian group, to make sure that everybody thinks they're addressing their points. They've been heard, all this stuff. But this article, this is the exact, I'm going to read it, not the whole article, but this actual little statement. This is this full stadium code of conduct. Okay, so first of all, what the White House has said in declining to comment is they would expect that it's going to follow the U.S. Constitution. We are not Qatar. So any comparison to Qatar does not count. Like, put that aside, whatever went on in 2022. You can look at friend matches that have happened with Team Melli and other places, the things that go on in LA, the pride stuff that's going to go on, which they also object to, that would happen in Seattle. None of that is getting canceled out. Carnegie Mellon, and they've had people talking about this. But anyway, here's the code of conduct. And in a private, just so everyone knows, when you're in a private sports venue, in a private thing, your free speech is not the same. It's like going into someone's living room. To some extent, they can make certain rules. They need to be consistent. And the White House, absolutely, Trump definitely, if he wants it to be a certain way or doesn't want or whatever, yes, that can make a difference. But the actual stadium code of conduct says, Article 3.1-.24, any materials, including but not limited to banners, flags, flyers, apparel, and other paraphernalia that are of a political, offensive, and or discriminatory nature, containing wording, symbols, or any other attributes aimed at discrimination of any kind against a country, private, person, or group on account of race, skin color, ethnicity, national or social origin, gender identity and expression, disability, language, religion, political opinion, or any other opinion, birth, wealth, or any other status, sexual orientation, or any other grounds. Folks, you have to look at that entire statement, not take the first part where you heard the word political. So here's the thing. If you put up signs and it is attacking, let's say, Islam, or attacking that country, or attacking other things, that is very easy to target, things that direct toward anything that they can say is a protected class. Look at this as like protected classes in the United States, but with a kind of a bigger, like sweeping kind of thing. They've added some other things that have to do with like gender identity and like other things that are a little bit more in flux. So, but if you have something like a historic lion and sun flag, which is pre-revolutionary, that is not attacking a religious group or color of skin or country or whatever, yes, Iran can see it that way. that doesn't mean that that's consistent with how it is seen by the US. So, the White House has also said, they're expecting to, have this comply with the Constitution. Karim Sajatpour, who is a senior fellow at Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, where they focus on Iran and US and foreign policy in the Middle East, he said it would be very risky for FIFA to attempt to restrict the visibility of the pre-revolutionary flag. This is in the New York Times. He said, quote, trying to prohibit Iranians in LA from bringing the lion and sun flag into the stadium is like trying to prevent Americans from bringing the US flag into an American stadium. It would cause mass unrest. World Cup matches best demonstrate passion Iranian Americans feel for their homeland and contempt they feel for the Iranian government. Waving the lion and sun flag is simultaneously a show of support for the national team and a protest against the regime. And the White House basically said, with Homeland Security, that it would work with local and federal partners to secure the 2026 FIFA World Cup in line with federal law, the U.S. Constitution, as we do with every major sporting event, while showcasing American greatness to the entire world. So you don't have some set answer about this. So anyone trying to claim we have a set answer about this, we don't. Okay. And I'm just telling you what legally it's likely they can prohibit and what they can't. That's all.
Okay. Well, that was a lot of great information. Well, thank you for that.
Next, we have Sketch.
There's something to be said about the spirit of the rules and the letter of the rules. I think people are going to try to get around it. They make, there's a number of ways that they can do that. I do believe it would be a bit of a flashpoint. And there is that, it is America. Like, it's my business. I decide who comes in, and that there is that about it. I think Sophie explained it far better than me. But what we do know is that there's going to be a lot of cameras, and some people might want to be arrested for having the sun and whatever flag. Some people may want to pick a fight there and just have that spectacle of having the guy with one flag fight the other guy with the other flag in front of the stadium, in the stadium. I think there's probably going to be a lot of police there. So if anybody starts like a literal fight, it might be a problem. But, it's not like these people have very strict, capture arrest records. They do a lot of catch and release in this area. I think I don't know. It's like, I'm hearing Seattle and LA. I don't know which one it is. I think it's Seattle, right? Wherever it is, it's not a place that's going to be big on it unless they start getting real political about, about the arrest, which some of these places literally do. So what I think is going to happen is going to be a lot of attention on it. So despite what the law says and what adherence the local police decide to have, because there's also enforcement, right? We can look at the letter of the law, and the law says this, but if the prosecutor won't prosecute it, if the police won't arrest it, they won't follow the case, then you got nothing. And you can say that the law says this isn't a big deal, but if the prosecutor wants to take it all the way, and if the cop's gonna give you the third degree, it's gonna be what it is. So there's the letter of the law, the spirit of the law, and the will to apply it. And those three are going to be very interesting to watch when this thing hits the fan.
Okay, ready for next topic. We have
wait.
D-Dom. Oh,
One thing somebody is saying, what if the regime falls this month? Are they going to change the flag super fast? Like in the middle of the games? Okay. All right.
I think we have to get past this weekend, right? And see what Trump does or doesn't do. First this weekend, then this month.
Right.
A lot can happen.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so next is D-Dom, and his topic is Khamenei, the father in a fridge.
Khamenei, the father in a fridge?
Yeah, they didn't bury him, according to what I know.
Yes, they haven't. Yes, actually, this is a good point. So go ahead. I have a lot to say about this because this is actually really
Yeah, so it is kind of ironic because if we go to that story about the guy with two snakes from his shoulders, which of course I don't remember the name of the story, but if I'm right, Ferdowsi wrote it.
Right. You're referring to Persian mythology and you're referring to Zahak, but yeah, okay, go ahead. What's your point?
Yeah. So in the end of the story, they catch them and they don't bury him, they don't kill him, and he just above the ground but not touching the ground. So kind of the same thing happens right now with Khamenei.
Okay, so yeah, so you're saying so in ancient Persian mythology, there's this evil man, Zahak. I'm just saying for people who might not know, who was eventually he was ruling over Iran, and eventually they defeated him. And instead of killing him and burying him, they hung him with chains in the Damavand volcano for him to be there without touching the ground for eternity, because he's so impure that he shouldn't be touching the pure sacred soil of Iran, right? So you're saying Khamenei being in a fridge and not being buried, it makes him even more like Zahak in based on ancient Persian mythology. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, also real quick, in Hebrew it's funny because Tzahak in Hebrew he was laughing, right? And in Farsi in Iran when we speak about Iran, Zahak is the worst of the worst. So just
So let me tell you
just a
something about
lingual
the internal
contradiction.
politics within Iran and how this is a bit much bigger than people realize inside Iran. The fact that Khamenei is still not buried, and like first of all, there's a lot of memes about it, like him in a fridge. Like there's so many AI memes about dead Ali Khamenei body, and ice cream like in fridges next to ice cream fridge in a store, or like opening the door to a fridge next to your juice and milk. They're putting him there, like so many, him like being in the fridge and saying, "I'm so cold, somebody bury me so I could go to hell. At least it's warmer over there." Like so many, there's so many jokes, so many memes. And this is actually very embarrassing because uh, culturally and traditionally, you're supposed to bury the body like very soon, and you need to you need to make a big deal about the funeral, especially given that he's a supreme leader. The funeral was supposed to be big and glorious. Like, guys, go look at the videos of Khomeini's funeral. Okay, like an entire like millions of people showed up to his funeral, and it was the world's biggest gather, like one of the is high up there when it comes to the number of gathering people in one place at an event. Khomeini's funeral was huge, right? And for Khomeini, not only did they not have a funeral, which was supposed to be a big event, they didn't even have his Chehelum, like his 40th day memorial, passed and finished without any event. Okay, it's so like I think for maybe a Western mindset, this might be like, oh, okay, they wanted to have a funeral and they didn't. But I think Middle Easterners here will understand that if something is tradition and you don't do it, you fucked up. Like this is like it's real, it's big humiliation. Okay, I think Israelis, like I think a lot of Westerners, for example, don't understand why the Israelis are so eager to make sure they go get like the dead bodies of their loved ones and bring them back to Israel and bury them there, right? Because maybe, I mean, I'm sure Americans have their own traditions that maybe the rest of the world doesn't, understand why the deep emotional attachment to it is. But this is something that when something is so deep rooted in culture and history and tradition, if you don't get to do it, it means like you're really fucked up, and it's like a huge source of humiliation. So but the fact that the Islamic Republic hasn't done that, a lot of people think that it's mostly because they can't have a funeral with all of the heads of state there, because if they come out of their holes, they might be taken out by Israeli drones. But one thing that people are not discussing is because his son can't be there, right? Like, what would that say about Mujtaba if if he's not at Ali Khamenei's funeral? Okay, so if that is the reason, then I don't know if they could ever have the funeral. Like, when are they going to do it then? Like, is Mujtaba at some point going to show up at his dad's funeral? so that is a big, and guys, a lot of pro-regime people expected that in this long ceasefire, that was good enough time for them to have the funeral. And the fact that we went through so much ceasefire, so many days of ceasefire without any funeral, is making pro-regime people are like, what the fuck? Like our lord, our supreme leader died. Like, what the where is the fucking funeral, right? And I think that's the reason, because if you have the funeral as Mujtaba is not there, that is actually even more humiliating than not burying Khamenei. But yeah, all of this time, Khamenei hasn't been buried. This entire time, his body's in the fridge, and the regime doesn't even talk about it because it's just a huge source of embarrassment for them.
Okay, to respond, we have Sketch and Jeffrey.
All right. I think everybody knows why they're not having a funeral. Like, we used to bomb weddings. Bombing a funeral ain't nothing, right?
God.
If we'll bomb a wedding, we will bomb a funeral. So they don't want to have a funeral because they know what's going to happen as soon as they have a funeral. They know we're going to bomb it, right? So, but they claim they don't fear death. So if you don't fear death, why didn't you have your little funeral? I thought you didn't fear death. What happened to your little I don't fear death? So where's your funeral? So that might be why. Two, if there is a funeral and you're some kind of high commander in the IRGC, why didn't you go show your respects? Is it because you think it's going to get bombed like the Americans bomb weddings? I mean, it could be. It could be. I mean, you know, if Mujtaba was getting married, if the Ayatollah was getting married, we'd bomb that.
Just for people who don't understand sarcasm on YouTube, Americans don't bomb weddings. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
No, all the Democrats do. That was Obama.
Okay.
But the thing is, they know we would bomb it. They absolutely know we would bomb it. Another thing is, let's say we wouldn't bomb it. Let's say they had some kind of guarantee, some kind of magical intuition. They knew we weren't going to bomb it. Well, if we are not there, Mujtaba would have to be there, and he would have to show his face. And Schrodinger's Ayatollah would have to come out of that box and show if he's alive or dead. So those are the three reasons. One, we might bomb it. Two, people that would have to go pay respects are afraid to. And three, is Mujtaba alive? Who knows? Is he, let's say, is he in a coma? Who's giving these orders? Would it be like Biden? It's like, oh, that guy's clearly. Do they have an auto pen over there at the IRGC? Did they take Biden's auto pen and that's who's signing the orders over there? What's going on? A funeral would clear up a lot of stuff, especially for us.
By the way, just to be clear, I think that if the Americans or Israelis attack the funerals, they're not just going to like bomb the entire funeral. I think they're going to be very selective with who they take out. Just want to be clear with that. They're going to have, yes, selective.
I agree.
Yes, okay. Okay. Just wanted to be clear. Be clear.
I was being funny. It's a joke.
Yes.
Chat, YouTube, it was a joke. I'm joking.
Okay. Yeah, but it's
Okay,
true.
Jeffrey. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
We could use ninja missiles, then you don't have to worry about shit. It just turns them into a. Anyway, I mean, okay. I mean, Sketch brought up all kinds of good stuff. I'm just gonna take this as a. I just have to say this. Like, what's left to really bury, though? I mean, we hit this cracker with 7 friggin' terminally hypersonic missiles from space. What's left is probably half of what's left you could scrape off the wall with a squeegee. And the other part that they pulled out of that wreckage probably looks like a fucked up Mr. Potato Head, right? Like dick bone connected to the neck hole, face pussy connected to the street sign. I remember they saying like parts of his head is blown off. There's like riddled full of shrapnel and shit. I mean, is there like a zakat or what was it, that thing? I mean, is there like a weird mullah thing for when you have to reassemble the body? What's left of this guy?
I mean, they did mention that one of their IRGC commanders, when they were burying him, he only had like a part of his, like, I forgot which part of his bodies were there, but like basically 2 or 3 small pieces of him was left. So I'm not kidding. We played this on our live show. that they were mentioning in the speech in the street protest for pro-regime Iranians, that they made a human body from cotton. If you remember that, oh, you guys remember that, for his head and the rest of his, for his torso and the rest of his body, and they just shoved in those body pieces that they had of him in the right places, and they just buried that cotton man. And for example, they had, like, for example, they had a rib of him, and they just shoved the rib into where the rib was supposed to go, and they have some of his intestines, so they put the intestines where that part of the body in the middle of the cotton, they put that over there. So, and they just buried the cotton man. So yeah, arts and crafts, I guess, with body parts.
That's why I said the fucked up Mr.
Fuck Thomas. And I'm not making this up. That's what happened. They said it to their own people. I mean, they were saying it as a way to, like, oh my God, the poor guy, look how they killed him. There's nothing of him left. And people are like, ooh, crying, because they like to. It's very interesting. The Shias, they love to act tough and the victim at the same time. They're like, oh, poor us. We're like, wow, we're so strong. Oh my God, they're harming us. They're killing us. Poor us. We're so strong. We're going to destroy everybody. Like, pick a lane. Like, what the fuck? Which one is it? I don't know. Okay.
That makes the cardboard man a little less surprising now that we know that there was a scarecrow man.
Scarecrow. Oh my God, gross. Oh my God.
Okay.
I just, when I thought about, when that guy was describing it and I was thinking what I was puking, like, I felt like puking. Like, I was thinking, like, whose job it is to, like, shove in, like, a body part into, like, the right part of a cotton man. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want that job. I don't know. Oh, you're muted.
Okay. Next, we have a question from Kat. And
okay,
her question,
before you read it,
yeah.
Can I read the super chat really quickly? Sorry.
Yeah.
So Fleshy Interloper gave us a super chat. Thank you guys for the super chats, saying Ayatollah Autopen. That's a good one. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Jeffrey, when you come up with these, people love it in the chat. Thank you. Yeah, Jeffrey, I need to talk to you about setting something up because people want to see more of you. So I'll talk to you about it at some point when I get the chance. Okay. So yeah, so let's go, BT. Sorry for interrupting.
Not at all. And thank you for the super chats. We appreciate it. So we have a question from Kat. She has a question and then some background info. So the question is the operation happening now?
Is the military operation against the Islamic Republic happening now?
Correct. And
okay.
It is. So she has said, I just saw an American Northrop Grumman E-2D Advanced Hawkeye near Qatar. Claude says, the presence of an E-2D suggests active U.S. naval air operations nearby. It's not a routine transport. When this plane is up, someone is watching the skies very carefully. This is very much an active surveillance command mission. She says, I verified with other sources, and that is probably accurate.
Oh, okay. I don't. Jeffrey, do you have any opinions on this information that a cat is gathering for us?
So that very much reflects one of the previous, like, the things I brought up in response to Sadato's very insightful question, which is, while this strategic pause is occurring, we're not static. You have active intelligence, dynamic target tracking, like E2s are kind of like it's like a flying radar dish, actually, sort of, like to do naval radar and scanning and all that to track ships and stuff. So Cat's not wrong. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get out of the Mr. Potato Head thing. It's just, yeah.
But
No, Cat's not.
But what does? But can you explain to us what does it even like? Can you dumb it down for what? Like what is the observation and what it even means?
So the E-2 Hawkeye is a naval aircraft that is used to provide usually like carriers or carrier battle groups or naval assets a radar and or like a clear picture of the environment that they're in. It's done to track like aircraft and ships and all this other stuff. So if you're doing things like, wow, listen, Mullah, I did something not for you, for our Gulf state allies, because I love them so much. We're the best of friends. And they asked, if you don't come to the table, I'm gonna let Pete kill you. Right? So the Hawkeye is flying around in the Strait of Hormuz, almost assuredly tracking like, mosquito boats, and Durka's in a rowboat trying to drop a mine overboard, and, jihadist Scuba Steve trying to get it on with the sucker fish. Right? That's what they're doing. They're maintaining consistent eyes on in that area so that almost assuredly, if the go code is given, if the command is given, we're going to start cornholing bad guys very quickly. That's why it's there. That's what the E-2 Hawkeye is meant to do. It's meant to provide a accurate picture of an of the naval environment. Does that help?
Yeah, and what have they observed that makes Cat think that something big is happening? Oh, it's not. They haven't observed anything. It's just that the fact that there's is going around, is circling around that area. But here's the thing: is it? Doesn't it sometimes circle, like goes around a circle and gather information, and then that's like, don't we have already enough examples of it going around and gathering information, and then that it wasn't followed by military operations? Or is this like or does this just increase the chances? Or is it that no, this almost like every time we have had this, seeing it circling around in areas every single time we had military operations after? Like, what is the degree of confidence that this introduces to us thinking that an attack is imminent?
So the E-2 Hawkeye, an E-2D Advanced Hawkeye, what it has is it's kind of like a carrier battle group's digital quarterback. It's the Navy's Airborne Command Post. It possesses an what did I get out? Give me a second here. An APY-9 radar, and that gives them like 360-degree coverage out to hundreds of miles, and it's designed to spot things like low-flying Iranian drones, cruise missiles, ballistic threats that ground radars can often miss and or will not be able to see until the threat crosses something called the radar horizon, which is like it's hiding behind the curve of the Earth. During the delay, we're surging more of them into the region. So these are the reports that Kat is talking about. Every day means more Hawkeyes in the air, giving us 24/7 total battle space awareness. What does it do? It gives us better real-time intel fusion, tighter coordination with F-35s and strike packages, and faster response if the mullahs try anything sneaky with their proxies, or they don't come to the friggin' table, or they do anything else that would irritate the Donald. So I guess I'm gonna tie this into Sadat. Question: critics say that the delay gives the mullah regime time to dig in. That's true. Here's what not Sadat, I'm just saying critics are people that are trying to amplify that to, exacerbate the mental, emotional pain felt by Iranian resistance. While they're scrambling to hide their nukes, we're using every single hour to surge more assets like E-2Ds into the region. And that's the Navy's eye. It's kind of like these are like the Navy's eye in the sky AWACS, right? It's the ultimate airborne command post that we have. It's like able to see low flying drones and missiles that the Mullah regime remnants think they can sneak past us, fast moving boats, all that stuff. So it's going to refine our intelligence to give us move more assets, and if or when, more likely when we strike, it's going to make our accuracy a lot greater.
Okay. Let me see. So, Sketch, people, you're next, and Tora in the chat is asking. So, does that mean war or not? Like, Tora wants to know. Yeah, war or no war? What does it mean? Tell us.
You don't put a quarterback on the field if you're not going to make a play.
Okay.
So that's the quarterback. That's why you put him there. You put him there because you're going to make a play. What does the quarterback do? It tells you where to land the hit. Where are you going to put that ball down, right? So what does this thing do? You don't even have to look. This thing can look for you. That means when you say it, send a JDAM up, you say you can drop 5 missiles from a C-130, or well, not a C-130, but you could drop missiles from it. You could drop them from a submarine. You could pop a submarine up, start launching missile, and that thing can aim for you. You don't even need to have a plane in the air. If you do have a plane in the air, you don't even need to have it close. You can have that thing really high up, and that thing will aim for you. Like you don't even this increases your eyes. We have the best eyes, and anything our eyes can see, our eyes can hit. That's why it's important. Also, it looks like a regular plane, but it's got a big flat dish at the top, like a spinning a flying saucer, but kind of flat. It's got that at the top. That's that big radar. That's how people recognize it so fast. And every time they see it, they're like, whoa, something's happening. Because when that thing goes up, it means they're looking for something to hit. It's not looking for you don't put that out for nothing.
What if you put, okay, here's devil's advocate. What are you putting it out there to scare the shit out of the Islamic regime and get them to surrender? But if it's there,
Well, that would be something. That would not be nothing.
Okay, but it wouldn't be an attack.
Put it out to scare it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you could use it like that, but you'd also be risking it, right? Like you don't put this thing out without defenses for it. It's extremely expensive to have this thing in the air, and using it to scare people that you've already dropped 13,000 bombs on is like a little overkill just to scale. They'd be more scared of Twitter than they are of this thing because they don't even understand how it works, right? I don't think that in the calculus of I'm scaring someone.
They know what it's
for. I don't think in the calculus of scaring, you wouldn't use this as a scare tactic. You would use this as an operational tactic. You don't send these people up and have them all worked up and put them in risk just to scare. That's not something we do.
I just want to make sure that our community here is not disappointed if there's no attack this weekend. And we're like, but you told us it will be this weekend. Oh,
it's a good question. I appreciate the question.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, is BT? Oh, yeah. Oh, Danny. Hi, Danny.
Yeah,
I missed you.
Now. Hi. Hi. Thank you. All right. So I believe Jeff wanted to respond next. Sorry if I missed you. I'm just catching up.
That's okay.
Jeff? Sorry, Jeffrey.
Sorry, I was just agitating before. I couldn't really give you a good answer. So what it means is better coordination equals more complex strikes. It means faster threat detection, which means it's safer for our pilots when they carry out a strike. It means real-time battle management, which means a higher kill rate, particularly when it comes to targets that try to hide or move, say like mosquito boats and all the rest of it. And it's very much a force multiplier effect. So one extra Hawkeye effectively makes every other aircraft in the strike package about 2 to 3 times more effective. That's why the Pentagon rushed at least 5 more E-2Ds to the region in March after initial strike. So what does it mean? It doesn't just mean more eyes. It means that we're putting in place things that make it that enable when the go, if or when the go code is given, that things are going to happen very quickly. And the strike is, we can handle a much broader, more massive strike package. So when Donald said things like, if you don't come to the fucking table, the strikes will be given a go-ahead and they will be large scale and massive, this is another indicator that signals that.
Okay.
All right, I think we covered this topic enough. And also just Kat in the chat saying, Armin, I'm not saying it's on, but if it's on, I called it. Okay, yes. Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so
Okay.
let's go to the next
Yes.
topic.
Next on the list, I have sketch about fighter jets and fighter pilots.
I don't understand. Can you be more specific?
Fighter-
Sketch? Yeah.
Yes, we have dropped 13,000 bombs. It's mostly been done by fighter jets and fighter pilots and other Air Force assets. We were just talking about them and the great support that they do. I wanted to talk a little bit about them. I super chatted you earlier about this creator, Max Afterburner, who is a very skilled fighter pilot, flew F-15s, flew F-16s, and also was one of the Thunderbirds. These are the kind of fighter pilots that do air shows and do coordinated, very close formation stunt flights. And he has an update. And last time you kind of said his video is a little long, so I put a short of his in the chat. I think it would be a treat since we talked so much about what these weapons are. We can have a person that's an expert on airplanes. He's going to have some visuals. It's short. It talks specifically about what's going on with it's current. Like he covers it every day. He has an update on what's going on in the Strait. So I put it there for you. It was just, you don't have to see it, but you're going to find that it's one of these things that, if you could get this guy to talk to this guy, these guys would have a great time. It would be so much fun. They would enjoy each other's company so long. I think he probably would enjoy your videos. He might even guest on your show if you ever could have him on. He's open to that kind of thing. And I think you would greatly enjoy his material if you ever got to look at it. So I had a short lined up so you could take a look at it.
Yeah, I've seen videos of him, and I loved every single video I've seen of him.
You have seen him? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and before, I just think he's so big that I don't know if he would even see me. Like, I mean, if you could make it happen, I would love to have him.
I don't know him like that, but I'll try. I'll super chat him when he's live and ask him.
Yeah. Just give him my email. And I just don't know, because I have spent so much time chasing people to have on my show, and a lot of it didn't go anywhere. So for me to invest in something like that, I need to first know that it's going to go somewhere before I spend time on it. Right?
No, I was more thinking like, I know you like to rage over Piers Morgan doing the same thing for the 100th time, but once in a while you could throw a guy like
it's
this
not
in there.
No. The Piers Morgan shows, like, I don't want you to poo-poo. Yeah, I don't like you. It's not just him. Hold on. Yeah, I need to respond to that. Piers Morgan brings the most garbage shit people, so he's a shit magnet. Okay, and I like to respond to shit. It's not just Piers Morgan. It's the people that he brings on his show that I like to respond to. So that's why that's why his show is.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. I know you like to poo on poo.
Yeah, I'm not offended. I'm just responding to what you're saying. So I don't know what makes you think I was offended, by the way. But yeah,
you seem kind of angry. The thing is, sometimes people
I am
like
responding to you. You have seen me angry, okay? On when I respond to Piers Morgan, I'm responding to you in the calmest way possible, and you're like, you seem angry. I don't know. You have seen what I look like and what I sound like when I'm angry. So this is not it. But yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The point is, sometimes the audience likes to have. And this guy gets a lot of views, right? So you want to put something light. When I sent you the super chats about this, you say, well, something like that, maybe the people won't like it, right? Well, what I said first, I put a 4 instead of a U, so you didn't get it. So I had to send like the same super chat a couple of times. But what I was saying is, maybe sometimes you could watch a video from someone that, because you said I sent like 5 super chats about this. Like one of them was like, I made a grammatical error, right? So then I said, look, I know that you like to respond to people you don't like, but sometimes maybe you could respond to people you do like, but have a different expertise. Now, Your expertise is more into politics, the in and out of Iran. We all respect that. That's why we're here. This guy's expertise is a lot of the thing that's making things happen. And it's the fighter planes, how they work, how they operate, how they organize, and what could happen. And he goes into that a lot. And I think the audience would enjoy it.
Okay.
That was my point.
I'll take a look at it maybe on with Ali, but not in the shit review section that I do. Okay. The first
No.
Yeah, I will do it in the if I check his videos, it would be with Ali in my fourth live stream of the day. It would fit what we're trying to do there more. Okay. And I'll take a look at some of his shorts. All right, thank you for that suggestion. I mean, I like the guy. Of course I like the guy. Is awesome.
All right. I don't have anyone else on the list.
All right, so I want to say something then. If it's we don't have anyone else in the list, guys. So I think a lot of people are not taking this audio message from the members of Ali Khamenei's family seriously, right? So I showed this on Iran Revolution Live, but also with the segment I had with Ali, and I think people are underestimating the importance of this. This gives us a lot of information regarding what was going through Ali Khamenei's mind before he died, right? So I'm not going to play the audio for you guys. I'll just tell you what the content of the audio is. Okay, so let me just here's what happened. Members of Ali Khamenei's family remained at the leader's compound ahead of the deadly February 28th meeting when Ali Khamenei was killed in that bombardment. They remained there, okay, because officials, the Islamic Republic officials, had been almost assured by the Americans through the Omanis that no military action would take place as talks were nearing a deal. And this is Nasser Rafai is saying that which is a cleric close to the Supreme Leader's office and his family, was talking to Mujtaba Khamenei's father-in-law, Ghulam Ali Haddad Adel, and he goes in this message, in this audio message that you leaked audio message that if you listen to it, he goes over so much detail. And he actually, you might think like, well, why do we believe him? Because he actually makes a really good point. Okay. First of all, he starts by saying, listen, in Islam, it's obligatory for you to try to preserve your own life. Like Ali Khamenei wouldn't just come out of his bunker like that, be available like that. If he thought that there would be an attack. But even if he did made himself like available to be attacked like that, he wouldn't have his entire family with him there, like his wife, his daughter, his granddaughter, all of those people there available for being taken out. Like he says, that's like you're not allowed to do that. Like Islamically, you're not allowed to do that, and it doesn't even make sense. And he makes a good point. I mean, the IRGC leaders were all having a meeting, just available to be taken out like that so easily. Somehow the Americans had convinced Ali Khamenei that they're so close to a deal right before they took out Khamenei. They were saying, they made him believe, and according to the audio message, if you listen to the audio message, he says that right there, that they believe, Ali Khamenei was made to believe that they were 2 days away from a deal, and the Americans were actually wanting to do a deal with him. And this is important because first of all, if true, it suggests that the Americans managed to fool the Ali Khamenei and they fell for it. And it's actually embarrassing that they fell for it. And that all those talks that we were hearing, and it was frustrating so many Iranians with regards to like, oh, we're talking to them, we're doing a deal, we're getting so close to a deal, we might have a deal. Like, oh, we're too like this. The negotiations are going very well. They're going really good. That was all by design, apparently, to make Ali Khamenei just come out of his hole. and right at the time that they were the most optimistic about the Americans not attacking them, they just hit them right when they got the chance, right? So I don't know if anybody here disagrees or agrees with me on this, like let me know, because that might also indicate that all of this current talk that we're hearing regarding a deal, regarding the Emiratis, the Saudis, the Qataris, they wanted us to delay, we're getting so close to a deal, is basically an attempt to get the Islamic Republic fall for this a third time. And given that they already fell for it twice, one with Operation Midnight Hammer, thinking that there's not going to be any attack because they were in the middle of negotiations, and then again second time with Operation Epic Fury, falling for it again. If the Americans are trying this again a third time, it requires them to go, because like it's really hard to make them fall for it a third time, right? So you have to do extra. You have to be extra convincing that okay, this guys, this time we're serious. This time we actually want to do a deal. Okay, this is not like the first or the two times, right? The first two times. So we might be hearing more annoying things from the Americans only because they're trying to be more convincing than the first time and the second time, because the Islamic Republic is more suspicious than before. So I think this might suggest that we have to be more tolerant with the Americans and the language that comes out of them from the Americans, given that this might be what they're trying to do. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Okay, Ian put it too. Ian, go ahead.
This leads me to like a slightly broader question that I have, which is to what extent are the leadership elements, and particularly Ali Khamenei, but also now Mushtaba, and maybe you could go rungs down, to what extent are they being isolated from good information by the hierarchy? So if you have sort of this breakdown of meritocracy and you have leadership that surrounds themselves with yes men, etc., then it sort of explains a lot of the behavior of the regime is sort of explained by them believing things that aren't really true. For example, they might believe that that they have a lot of support among the people, and that the anti-regime people are just criminals. For example, they might not understand the size of the crowds that came out in January, or the demands of the crowds. And so I've just been thinking a lot to what extent is the patterns of behavior that we're seeing actually based on a real lack of, or let's put it this way, delusional information. That's all.
That's a very good question, and a lot of people answer one way or not. Like they sometimes say like, no, they have good information and they know what's happening, and some people say they're delusional. And the actual answer is that we have both of these types of people. Okay, so let me first talk about IRGC, and then I'll go to the Beit Rahbari, the Ali Khamenei. Okay, so within IRGC, we do have both of these types of people: the delusional ones that actually have started to believe their own bullshit that they're feeding to regime supporters, but we also do have more smarter people within IRGC that are more pragmatic, and they're trying to figure out how to manage all of these retards within the IRGC. So within IRGC, there's both. Okay, but when it comes to Ali Khamenei himself, we have very clear evidence that this man became completely delusional, more delusional than your average, jihadi, like obviously anybody who's believes in Islam is delusional, but I'm just talking like above and beyond that, right? He was completely surrounded by yes men, and people couldn't actually feed him negative information. Like if he didn't like what you were telling him, you would not have last long around him. So that made everything like that made, and the IRGC also, many people within the IRGC also understood that this is somebody that needs to be managed correctly, because he was basically living in a different planet. I mean, it got as bad as him thinking that he is the mouth of God, right? Like he started believing things that are punishable by death in Islam, right? Like he basically ended up having, and he came out and said it publicly, right? I don't know if you know about this, but at some point he came out and said that when he was giving a speech, none of the words were his words, that God was speaking, and God was using his tongue and his lips to utter those words. And you might think, well, like, okay, that's just basically religious mumbo jumbo, and in Islam, maybe people in Islam believe that, and no, they don't. This is like a position higher than Prophet Muhammad. Like Prophet Muhammad never had that happen to him. Prophet Muhammad, that 99.9% of the time, according to Islam, Prophet Muhammad communicated through Angel Gabriel to Prophet Muhammad, because humans are not fit to be in direct communication with God, and you need an intermediary. Prophet Muhammad, unlike all other prophets, only one time got to get close to God, but no other prophet got to meet God. Every prophet had to have Prophet Gabriel as an intermediary, right? Because the human mind, the human body cannot even take receiving direct messages from God, right? So, for example, Abraham, in Islam, they say that Abraham one time asked God to show himself to Abraham, and God was like to Abraham, how about I show myself to that mountain over there first? And Abraham was like, okay, sure. And God showed himself to the mountain, and that mountain just exploded. It just melted, right? And like, okay, do you want me to show myself to you now? And like Abraham, like, no, we're okay. You don't have to do that. So that's right. So that's an Islamic. So, but if this is the belief that you have in Islam, imagine if now Khamenei coming out and saying, I was God's mouth, like more direct connection to God than Muhammad himself. This is under Islamic Republic law right now. That's punishable by death. So you should execute somebody who said that. And Khamenei said that. So he lived in La La Land, right? And we have so much evidence that suggests that. There was leaked information also regarding how to give bad news to Khamenei, right? There were instructions on when some bad news or some news that Khamenei doesn't like becomes necessary for him to know, on how to deliver that to him without getting in trouble. Right? So that shows that he's surrounded by yes men, right? Which is good, because you want your enemies to be retarded. By the way, does that answer your question?
Well, I'm thinking. I know I mentioned Ali Khamenei, but I'm thinking more on a sort of operational level. Like, I'll give you one more small example. Is when it comes to the oil dumping that's going on. I was wondering whether that's a top down decision or a bottom up decision. And by bottom up, I mean maybe the people whose responsibility it is to take care of this problem they're unable to take care of the problem on their own, and so they just do something desperate that people in Qom or Tehran don't have any idea about, right? And so it's sort of a breakdown in communication, breakdown of information, etc. It sort of explains a lot of the behavior in a way that we mainly talk about sort of a top down, how do we decision making going on, and it seems like a lot of it might be actually happening in the opposite direction. So
so operationally, a lot of decisions are made locally, okay, without the top people needing to order it, right? And Khamenei has a word for this. He calls it "atash be ikhtiyar," mean so what is it in English? Fire at will, right? He calls fire at will. He calls it fire at will. He actually Ali Khamenei encouraged this methodology firing at will. He basically created this within the Islamic Republic. He told people, as long as your ideology is correct, just make decisions. Don't wait for commands from higher up. So he did that. He's responsible for that, and that caused a lot of by the way, I'm hearing background. I'm hearing background noise again. That caused a lot of violence against the Iranian people because many regime people and many Basijis took fire at will to mean that if I think that this person is being un-Islamic, I don't have to call the police or anyone else. I could just basically hurt these people, right? So that fire at will philosophy by Ali Khamenei caused so much harm. But from an operational perspective on whether they're smart or again, depends on who's making a decision, right? Depends on who's the commander and who's making a decision. When it comes to dumping the oil in the sea, I think that was a deterministic, like at some point the storages would fill up and they have no place to put it. And anybody suggests saying that, oh, we should just do a shut-in, they were like, why? There's a sea right there. Why should we shut down the oil, right? Like, I think that would be from the moral standards that the Islamic Republic has, that would have been the obvious, like many people within the Islamic regime would have made that decision without that necessarily having to come from the higher ups. One thing I want to add is that I think Mujtaba is a lot smarter than his father, like a lot smarter than his father. I mean, that's useless now because apparently he's not in a decision-making position, but he was a lot more operationally active and in the scene and making political decisions and being fed intelligence by Taib, okay, by that Taib guy that I told you guys about, that used to be the head of IRGC's intelligence and also used to be an important person within the Beit Rahbari of the Office of the Supreme Leadership. That guy is the person who made Mujtaba Khamenei the next supreme leader. And that guy is the person who made Mujtaba Khamenei an important person within IRGC. And they're both part of the Habib circle because they both Taib and Mujtaba Khamenei served at the Habib battalion in the Iran-Iraq war. And that's how that Habib circle was created. And they're both of them, they're the head of the Habib circle. And these two, like a lot of the decisions, a lot of the security decisions, a lot of the suppression tactics of the Iranian people, a lot of the missions outside of the borders of Iran with regards to the proxies, well, are organized and directly ordered by Mujtaba Khamenei all of these years from behind the scenes. So a lot of people haven't heard about Mujtaba until recently, but he was a main decision maker for the Islamic Republic all of these years from behind the scenes. And many people from the regime have actually, there's reports that was leaked by people within the regime that complained to Ali Khamenei about his son, saying that your son is basically in charge of everything right now. And Ali Khamenei responding to them, good, like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, Ali Khamenei defended his son in a way that many people didn't think he would, right? But he was very, like, so there's a famous, one thing that was very famous that happened. The term Aghazadeh means like sons of lords in Iran. And many of the sons of these important people in Iran are called Aghazadeh. And Ali Khamenei heard somebody refer to Mujtaba Khamenei one time as Aghazadeh, which means sons of lords. And then Ali Khamenei corrected him. He's like, Mujtaba is a lord himself. Like, he's an Agha himself. Don't call him a son of a lord. He's a lord himself, right? So you could see how attached Ali Khamenei was to Mujtaba. But Mujtaba is somebody that I would consider to be very smart, very knowledgeable, very aware of what's going on, and very operationally experienced. And yeah, all of that is now for nothing because he's, I don't know, cardboard, I guess. But yeah.
Okay. Two more people wanted to respond.
Okay.
I hope we still have time. Sketch?
Okay, first of all, you have to get these people in a room if they're going to make a deal. And how are you going to make a deal if the regional Mosaic fire at will commanders are shooting down any deal? So if you want to hit them all at once, you tell them, hey, you keep saying you're going to make a deal, and I got to go on TV and say, hey, they say they had a deal, and then they shot their own deal down. right? So you guys got to get together. You're saying, are they going to fall for it a third time? Well, they might. I don't know. I would say, are you trying to get those 32 together? Are you trying to get some people that can control those 32 regional commanders? Get those people in an important place with the what's his name, the Ayatollah Autopen? And that was mine. That wasn't Jeff. That was me. He did the potato head. I like that. That was good too.
Okay, that was you.
With the Ayatollah Autopen, you want to get the Ayatollah Autopen in one room. You want to get whoever's in charge of those regional commanders, maybe a few of them, because these regional commanders, they have like a feudal system where they get their fingers in the pots in their local businesses, and I don't know if I'm misunderstanding it, but am I kind of on the ball there? Like the regional commanders.
I mean, here the point of the Atesh be Ikhtiyar, or like fire at will strategy, is so that they don't have to get into a room, so that you just don't wait for a meeting. Like, just do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. That's the point of that.
Okay, I know that's the point, but if you need to sign a peace deal, you need to get them to not do that anymore.
It doesn't work. Yeah, that whole strategy and philosophy doesn't work for a peace deal. That's true.
So you would want to get them in a room together and say, hey, you guys need to stop this. And the second they're in a room together, you can hit them. Right? I don't know if that's the strategy, or getting a few of them together. But if we are what do I say, brainstorming, like you were doing earlier, is this what we're doing? We're trying to get them to do a meeting the third time. If we're brainstorming that, I see the angle. You see, hey, you guys keep shooting down your own deals. You're gonna have to have a meeting about this.
Honestly, if they ever get around to each other to meet one more time, Sketch, your theory of it's evil, not stupidity, will be challenged. Okay,
It can be both.
They can be. I know. I'm kidding. I know, these people have to be the dumbest fuckers on the planet for them to meet to get in a room together again. Honestly, if they get to a room one more time and they hear the missile coming, they have to be like, you know what, guys, we deserve this. What the fuck are we doing? Let's just die. I'm gonna say, why are we even meeting again? Yeah, I guess we deserve this. Fuck it. Let's go.
Right. Yes, that auto pen got it good.
Yeah.
But no, and my theory was more about American media and Western media,
right?
The bad guys. Yeah. But I do believe if that the best case scenario for what you were laying out would be that you're going to have to get these people to agree if we're going to make a deal, because they keep shooting down the deal. In the night, you tell me, yeah, this is good, we can work with it. In the morning, you're bombing something.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe one more response from Shana. Very fast, please.
Yeah. Just really quick. I just wanted to point out too, to whether or not these people are buying into their own BS. I think that probably, if you look at what happened when the Soviet Union fell, there was multiple suicides from guards because they believed that they were doing the right thing, and when they realized that they were actually just guarding completely innocent people, that they had so much guilt that they committed suicide. I wouldn't be surprised if some similar things happened, although I'm not sure, because Islam is it's not quite the same as communism. So the end.
Yeah. Wait, are you saying that they might commit suicide? I don't know if I can say it YouTube. Wait, I don't.
Yeah. People who bought their own bullshit, people who believed in the cause, and then when they lost, they commit.
The problem is that in Islam, if you do self-deletion, you will go to hell for eternity. So I don't know if they're going to do that.
Unless you're attacking during 9/11, then it's fine. But yeah, I realize that. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I mean, for that, they come up with some dumb excuses that we didn't do self-deletion, we just died in war. So, I mean, it's bull crap, but that's their excuse. Yeah. Okay. All right, let me stop the recording. And guys, I'm going to do another stream in 23 minutes. So I hope that's enough time for me to basically try to inhale my food. Okay, because that's not enough time. I don't get to enjoy my food slowly, but I have to just inhale it. All right, so guys, I'm gonna head out, but on YouTube we're gonna be back on this channel again in 23 minutes. So make sure you have the notification bell on so that when we go live you get the notification. Okay. All right, guys. Love you guys. This was really good. I learned more from you guys in this community that I learned watching or reading anything else. So you guys are amazing. Thank you. All right. So see you guys. And yeah, I'm Israel Chai. Long live America. Javicha Payanderan. See you guys soon. Bye.
Okay.